Sensei and I were just having a little discussion we'd like to share about character and competency. And, I have a favorite saying I like to use with being a martial artist. It's not the 2 hours on the mat that matters most, it's the 22 hours off the mat. It's very easy to be on the mat and be all in your kimono out front and be the big time instructor and sound spiritual and have honor and have integrity. And then how do you interact with society once you leave that mat? And I find it's quite lacking in our arts, and it's quite disturbing the way people will accept their behavior outside of having a uniform on. The thing to remember is, when I used to say to somebody, we had this conversation, that when I walk on the mat and I put a karate uniform on, anybody will go, oh, he's a martial artist or he teaches karate. It's evident by the uniform. They also get an idea of your rank. Maybe he's a black belt. But what about it? You go to a party and there's maybe 30 other martial artists there. Some could be 8th degrees, some could be brown belts, some could be beginners. Then there's nothing that you're wearing that indicates your level in the art, or even the fact that you're a martial artist. So the only thing I think that really gets that message across is your behavior, your etiquette, your courtesy, the way you greet people, the way you pay attention and listen to another person's point of view in a conversation. This gets back to what we were talking about earlier about martial and art. There's a lot of martial, but the art is the balance of also behaving like a gentleman with the skill set that you have underlying your very character.
So, I mean, we're talking about experience, though, you see, because when you have memorized martial arts is one thing, but when you have ownership, that you own the art, is because you walk it, talk it, sleep it, dream, it's part of you. It's not going to church on Sunday, it's being able to take it with you. And anybody that looks at you, they know there's something different about you. And it's only because the art brings the best out of you, and that's the key.
Which is my point, which we see in people like you. But unfortunately, I find it to be quite lacking in a certain swath of martial arts out there.
That's why we have instructors like us, that we become the instructor. I mean, we become the example.
Right.
But not only the examples, because again, you cannot take it on, just go and take it on Sunday. I mean, it's a way of life. So when you're learning the art, you're learning a way of life, not learning how to live your life. Is learning a way of life, that you make those choices, and in those choices, if you have good honor, good respect, and that's what you learn in the art, that you'll walk with that, with your head up and with honor, and with at least people will get a chance to say, oh,
yeah,
he, whatever you're doing, keep doing, because. I would like my son to follow something like that.
I used to talk to students about even the samurai, martial arts, yes, way of the sword, all of that seems to be quite a violent existence, could be. That's a very deep conversation. But
Yes.
the balance that I found with my research in the samurais, they were also versed in Chano-Yud poetry, the tea ceremony. In other words, there were very balancing spiritual aspects that offset what we just see as somebody carrying two swords around or whatever. And of course, we're not going to do the same balancing factors in our Western society, but same thing applies. Just sitting down and having a civil conversation, even a disagreement with somebody, and being okay with having a conversation, not an angry sort of rant and rave and everything else. And I think what you're saying is what we do learn on the mat. Even lining up, people say, oh, we don't bow, we're Westerners. And I would say it's not the physical thing of bowing, because, we tend to shake hands more in Western society. It's just whether your personality will allow you to just bow your head to a person, whether it's an instructor or another student that's giving you the chance to practice your art. Little things like that are important for adults to demonstrate, because if kids see somebody like Benny the Jet, undefeated kickboxing, absolute legend, if they can see you, Sensei, bowing your head to another student or whatever in front, it gives them permission. It's okay They don't have to walk around and be just this tough guy as far as being a kickboxer or representative of the arts. So,
Well, I mean, when they use the word tough, I mean, what makes somebody tough, as you know, Oyama once said, you know, I'm as beautiful as a rose, but I'm as sharp as a thorn. And in that means that I can, you know, I have place and time for everything. I have time to show my beauty of what I love doing, and I have a chance to use for defense.
which is the martial and the art.
And you are all put in one.
I used to use you and John Hackelman, you know, as examples when
Train.
kickboxing first started in Australia, you know, way back in the 70s. You know, my partner then Bob Jones really started
Yes,
off. There were a lot of karate people that suddenly said, "Oh, we're kickboxers, we don't bow." And I used to say, and I'm paraphrasing, I said, "You know what? If you go and train with Sensei Ben, or you train with John Hackelman at the pit, trains people like Chuck Liddell and everything else, if you walk in there, you will line up, you will meditate, you will bow, and you will show respect." And I said, if you think you're tougher than those two gentlemen, okay, and if it's okay for them, it's okay for you to just bow your head and show a bit of respect.
Yeah, I mean, there, like I said, it's about honor. You know, you honor your mother, your father, your brother, your sisters, your teachers. There's an honor system that you learn that is so rich. You know, it's so rich that when you have that concept in your heart, in your soul, you're a very, very rich person. Right, Bridget?
Do I have to be like that with Farah boys, or
Oh,
I'm trying since I'm not there yet.
yes.